Welcome back to another chilling true crime journey, where we unravel the darkest corners of human nature. If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button and join our community of curious minds. Your support keeps these stories alive, and I'd be immensely grateful for your likes, comments, and shares. Today we're stepping into a case that shocked a small Illinois town, a tale of love, betrayal, and unimaginable loss. Buckle up, because this story is as complex as it is heartbreaking. Violent crimes often ignite a firestorm of public fascination, fueling rumors that spread like wildfire. The initial hours of an investigation are critical, with every detail potentially holding the key to justice. But sometimes, the most pivotal clues emerge from the shadows, where no one thinks to look. In the spring of 2010, the quiet town of Darien, Illinois, was shattered by a triple homicide that left an entire community reeling. The victims were members of the Kramer family, beloved, affluent, and seemingly untouchable. What began as a suspected robbery quickly unraveled into a web of deception, manipulation, and cold-blooded revenge. In the heart of Darien, a quaint suburb southwest of Chicago with a population just shy of 22,000, the Kramer family was a pillar of the community. Lori and Jeffrey Kramer's love story began in high school, where their bond as best friends blossomed into romance. By 18, they exchanged vows in a simple yet heartfelt ceremony, vowing to build a life together. Eager to escape the hustle of urban life, they settled in Darien, a serene town where tree-lined streets and tight-knit neighbors promised a peaceful existence. Their family grew quickly. In 1986, they welcomed their firstborn, Anthony, a bright and ambitious boy with a knack for economics. 2 years later, Angela arrived, her creative spirit destined for architecture. In the early 1990s, Michael, the youngest, completed the family, a spirited child who inherited his father's love for mechanics. The Kramers poured their hearts into parenting, ensuring their children had every opportunity. From top-tier schools to extracurricular passions, Anthony, Angela, and Michael thrived under their parents' unwavering support. Jeffrey, a skilled mechanic, opened a modest auto repair shop in Darien in the mid-1980s. His talent for fixing cars and motorcycles earned him a loyal clientele, and his small garage soon expanded into a bustling service center. The business's success allowed the Kramers to purchase a sprawling home in one of Darien's most coveted neighborhoods, a modern, two-story haven with manicured lawns and a sense of security. Each family member drove their own vehicle, a symbol of their prosperity. The children, now young adults, continued to live at home, bound by love and mutual respect. Anthony, the eldest at 24, was pursuing an economics degree and dreamed of a future in Chicago's financial district. Independent yet practical, he transformed the basement into a private apartment, complete with a kitchen, bathroom, and spacious bedroom. Accessible only through the main house, it was his sanctuary. Angela, 22, was immersed in her architecture studies, sketching designs that hinted at her big city aspirations. She too remained at home, her room a gallery of blueprints and inspiration boards. Michael, just 18, had recently graduated high school and was eager to join his father at the repair shop. With a natural talent for engines, he envisioned taking over the family business one day. To neighbors, the Kramers were the epitome of harmony. Their home radiated warmth, with laughter spilling out during backyard barbecues and holiday gatherings. They were generous, always ready to help a neighbor with a flat tire or a community fundraiser. No one could imagine enemies lurking in the shadows of their idyllic life. But beneath the surface, cracks were forming, cracks that would soon shatter their world. In the early hours of March 2, 2010, Darien's emergency dispatch received a desperate call at 2:30 a.m. A young woman's voice, trembling with panic, whispered through the line. Hidden in a closet, she struggled to speak, her words fragmented by fear. She reported hearing at least 10 gunshots, each one echoing like a death knell through her family's home. She managed to provide the address, the Kramer residence, before pleading for help. The dispatcher, sensing the urgency, mobilized. Police and paramedics immediately. Officers arrived to find the Kramer home eerily illuminated, its lights blazing against the dark. The silence was deafening. No more gunshots, just an ominous stillness. As they approached, a figure emerged from a basement window, scrambling to escape. Instinctively, officers assumed it was the perpetrator fleeing the scene. But it was Anthony Kramer, the eldest son, his face pale with terror. He explained that he'd heard the gunfire from his basement apartment and hid, too afraid to venture upstairs. When sirens pierced the night, he climbed out the window, unwilling to risk crossing paths with the killer. Police escorted Anthony to safety and began their sweep of the house. The front door was intact, showing no signs of forced entry. But inside, a horrific scene awaited. On the staircase, Jeffrey Kramer lay crumpled in a pool of blood, 2 bullet wounds in his chest. Above him, Lori, his beloved wife, was sprawled across the steps, her body riddled with shots to her abdomen and head. Both were lifeless, their eyes frozen in shock. Further down the hallway, near the open garage door, 18-year-old Michael lay, face down, 3 bullets in his back. Paramedics found a faint pulse, but he succumbed to his injuries en route to the hospital. The house was a battlefield. Bullet holes pockmarked the walls near the stairs, and large caliber shell casings littered the floor. In the living room, a shattered window suggested the intruder's point of entry. But one question loomed large. Where was the young woman who had called for help? Was she still alive? Upstairs, officers found Angela Kramer curled up in a closet, her body shaking with shock. She was unharmed but inconsolable, her screams echoing as she was led past the bodies of her parents and brother. Medics rushed her to a hospital where she was treated for severe emotional trauma. The only survivors, Anthony and Angela, were now the investigation's key witnesses. But their accounts offered little clarity. Anthony had been in his basement apartment when the chaos erupted. Without his phone, which he'd left in the living room, he couldn't call for help. Fear kept him frozen until the police arrived. Angela, asleep in her bedroom, awoke to gunfire. She ran to her parents' room, finding it empty, before more shots drove her to hide in the closet with her phone. Neither sibling saw the intruder or intruders, nor could they provide a description. The crime scene, littered with shell casings, but devoid of fingerprints or DNA, offered few leads. The investigation was stalling before it even began. The Kramer family's wealth and prominence made robbery an obvious initial theory. Their home was filled with valuables, designer jewelry, luxury watches, high-end electronics, all untouched. The safe remained locked, and nothing appeared. Disturbed. The intruder had been in the house for mere minutes, entering through the broken window, unleashing a hail of bullets, and fleeing without taking a single item. This wasn't a botched theft. It was personal. Detectives turned their attention to the surviving siblings. Anthony and Angela, both adults, lived comfortably under their parents' roof, supported by the family's wealth. Could resentment or greed have festered? One theory suggested the siblings, perhaps feeling trapped in Darien, plotted to seize the family's assets, the house, the business, and substantial savings. Michael, devoted to the repair shop and his father, might have opposed such a plan. Fewer heirs meant larger shares. But this theory crumbled under scrutiny. Anthony and Angela's grief was raw and undeniable, their lives shattered by loss. No evidence pointed to their involvement. As investigators canvassed the neighborhood, a new figure emerged. Samantha, Michael's 19-year-old girlfriend. Distraught and tearful, she approached the Kramer home hours after the tragedy, desperate for news of Michael. She revealed a bombshell. She had been in the house during the attack. Samantha and Michael, high school sweethearts, had been inseparable, their families already discussing engagement plans. That night, the Kramers hosted Samantha for dinner, a warm evening of laughter and bonding. After Jeffrey and Lori retired to bed, followed by Angela and Anthony, Michael and Samantha stayed up to watch a movie in the living room. They fell asleep on the couch, unaware of the horror about to unfold. At 2:30 a.m., a deafening crash woke Samantha, the sound of the living room window shattering. Disoriented, she thought it was part of the movie. Michael stirred, and together they saw a figure clad in black, face obscured by a mask, climbing through the broken glass. Before they could react, the intruder drew a handgun and fired, the bullet grazing the wall beside them. Panic surged. Michael grabbed Samantha, shoving her toward the garage door. As they fled, he shielded her with his body. 3 shots rang out, and Michael collapsed, struck in the back. Samantha, in shock, stumbled into the night, believing Michael was behind her. She ran for blocks, her heart pounding, convinced the killer was in pursuit. With her phone left behind, she knocked on a neighbor's door, but no one answered. Hearing footsteps, she hid beneath a porch, trembling for an hour. When she finally returned to the Kramer home, police lights illuminated the scene. Officers stopped her from entering, but she glimpsed the bodies inside. Learning Michael was dead, she collapsed in grief. Samantha's story raised suspicions. Could a jealous rival, obsessed with her, have targeted Michael and his family? This theory fizzled out, lacking evidence. But Angela, during questioning, dropped a name that shifted the investigation. Johnny Borisov, her ex-boyfriend and the father of her young son. Angela's relationship with Johnny was a saga of love and turmoil. Years earlier, she had dated Johnny's best friend, Stephen, until a tragic car accident claimed Stephen's life. Johnny, a charismatic but volatile figure, stepped in to comfort her. Their friendship turned romantic, and soon Angela was pregnant. Johnny moved into the Kramer home, and the couple planned to marry. But cracks appeared. Johnny, expecting a life of ease, leaned heavily on the Kramers' wealth. His temper flared often, and he manipulated Angela, sowing discord between her and her family. He pressured her to demand a separate house, a request the Kramers denied. The relationship imploded, ending in a bitter breakup and a custody battle over their son. On the night of the murders, Johnny had taken their son to his parents' apartment, but didn't stay. His history of drug-related arrests and manipulative behavior made him a prime suspect. During questioning, he claimed to have been at a casino all night, an alibi backed by surveillance footage. Yet his evasive demeanor and constant phone activity during the interview raised red flags. Detectives suspected he might have orchestrated the crime, hiring someone to act on his behalf. A seemingly unrelated call to police that night provided a breakthrough. A young man named Jacob, distraught and sobbing, reported being chased in his car by unknown pursuers. Jacob, it turned out, was Johnny's roommate, after his breakup with Angela. Johnny couldn't afford a place alone and moved in with Jacob, a quiet, troubled 22-year-old with a history of mental health struggles. Raised in a strict religious household, Jacob was timid and easily influenced, battling anxiety, depression, and paranoia. He had no criminal record, but his vulnerability made him a perfect pawn. Johnny, exploiting Jacob's fragility, introduced him to psychoactive substances, fostering dependency. When Jacob couldn't pay, Johnny demanded favors, tightening his control. A month before the murders, Jacob purchased a .40 caliber handgun, a weapon matching the crime scene's shell casings. How he passed a background check despite his mental health history remains unclear. On March 4th, Jacob's parents reported his sudden appearance at their home. Agitated and paranoid, he claimed gang members were hunting him, hired by a drug lord for failing a mission. He begged to be hidden, barricading himself in the basement. Police arrived, finding him more coherent after sleep. In exchange for protection for his parents, Jacob confessed. He revealed Johnny's manipulation, claiming Johnny fabricated a story about a cartel demanding Angela's silence. Believing his life and family were at stake, Jacob broke into the Kramer home, armed with his handgun. Encountering Michael and Samantha, he fired, chasing them to the garage where he shot Michael. Hearing Jeffrey and Lori on the stairs, he gunned them down before fleeing in panic. Later, convinced he was being pursued, he made the frantic call to police. Jacob led authorities to the hidden gun and clothing, which matched the crime scene evidence. Detectives, suspecting Johnny's involvement, placed both men in an interrogation room rigged with surveillance. Johnny pressured Jacob to take the fall, unaware he was being recorded. The footage sealed their fates. Justice served Jacob, facing life without parole, took a plea deal for 75 years, effectively a life sentence. Johnny, convicted as the mastermind, received the same. Both remain behind bars, their appeals denied. Closing thoughts. This case is a stark reminder of how manipulation and vulnerability can collide with devastating consequences. The Kramer family's story is one of love torn apart by betrayal. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Please like, comment, and share to support the channel. Your engagement means the world. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.